Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. Today we are out here at the beautiful Sanctuary Hotel on Camelback Mountain in Arizona, and we are going to be sitting down with the founder of Realty Group, Minnesota's largest independent brokerage, on his amazing story of growing his brokerage from 0 to 450 agents doing thousands of transactions, all of the systems that he uses, how he leverages virtual assistants all over the globe to scale his ideas quickly.
The industry is changing.
Yep.
Every industry, including real estate, right? And you want to be ahead of the change instead of behind the changes, which allow us now to have the new local to be global, right? So now it can be right next door or the other side of the world.
Yeah, and his absolutely unbelievable story of coming to the United States from Vietnam at 13 years old on the bottom of a fishing boat, and what that taught him about never giving up and becoming a champion.
I remember making a choice that I'm a victor and not a victim. I decided
Powerful.
I was lucky instead of unlucky. I should not even be alive today. Because of that, any chance I get, I want to help people because I never want anyone to have the same feeling I had that night. Helpless.
So if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you like the show, subscribe, and we'll see you on the inside. We're out here on a beautiful sunny day in Arizona, out in Scottsdale, with Doan, getting ready to talk about his amazing story of coming to this country, overcoming a lot of obstacles, building a very large, very successful brokerage in your market. And let's just have a quick cheers before we kick things off. We're gonna enjoy a couple Bloody Marys and learn some of Long's ninja skills.
Well, thanks for having me, Oliver. Always love to hang out with you, man.
Yeah, likewise. It's always a pleasure. So tell me about how many agents do you have right now, and what do you currently got going on?
Yep. So we're over 450 right now. I think last I saw was 465.
Okay.
You know, and growing. So we're excited about that. When I say we, as you know, Mike Bonnier is my business partner at Realty Group. So
Yep. Shout out to Mike.
Yep, Mike Bonnier, my brother. But yeah, we're having a good time. We're learning and trying to catch up to you and Sam at Big Block, man. So you guys are paving the way.
Thanks, man. But real quick, so I'm actually curious. I didn't even have this question written down, but it just popped into my head. You've had a business partner for a long time. You've been able to make it work. Most partnerships don't work, from my experience and what I've observed. Why do you think that you guys? Because you guys really make magic together.
Yeah.
So what do you think that is?
Yeah, and you're totally right. You know, you and I probably have had a lot of people we know that had terrible partnership that didn't work out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you are as well as lucky to have Sam, and
totally.
I do have Mike. I think that when you have the right ingredient, things just explode, you know? And I'm lucky enough to have, you know, the right person who have the same mindset. So at the end of the day, I think it comes with bringing different things that could help out the partnership. So really on the business partnership, it's like getting married, right? Now you and Sam are like work, wife, husband, or whatever you want to call each other.
Right.
Same with Mike and I. I joke that I'm the husband, he's the wife, but you know, because he talks more than I do. So, you know, but at the end of the day, it's a marriage.
Yeah.
So you got to have the right, you know, chemistry and the right, you know, goals and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty important. You know, Mike and I got together 2011. In 2014, we became partners.
Okay.
And, you know, even though I started Realty Group in 2009, 2014, we call it RG 2.0, Realty Group 2.0 with Mike, and that's when things really took off.
And where did you guys connect?
So when I started Realty Group 2009, I did a lot of bank loans at that time. You may remember that time with a lot of foreclosures. So I was an active broker. Okay. And then I'm big on systems and process, right? We all know systems run business, people run systems. So I was tracking everything in my business and even my personal life too. But I was noticing that I was getting about 1.5 calls as an average per sign I had in the yard per week. So I was getting about 800 to 1,000 leads a month. And I was focusing on getting more listings on the REO side. So I'm like, hey, you know, I'm sitting on a gold mine here, so I need someone to work that part for me. So I kind of put the feel out, and Mike's one of the few that we end up sitting down together. And I remember Mike was running a white coat office, doing a lot of their leads as well. And he's like, hey man, white coats spend millions of dollars, you know, a month to join some leads. There's no way you have the many leads, but I'll sit down and talk to you. So we sat down, and I showed my CRM, he's flipping and flipping. He's like, holy cow, you know, what are you doing with this stuff? I said, I'm talking to you, you know? And he came over and he helped me, you know, build the lead team, crushed it. And then 2014, when the REO foreclosure started to decline,
Yep.
my first 15 years on the mortgage side, so I'm like, hey, I like this real estate thing. I think I'm going to stay here. So I said, hey, let's grow this brokerage together. And he and I decided to be partners, and the rest is history
Very
so far.
cool.
And we're getting ready to go on RG 3.0 right now.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
trying to catch you guys.
I love that, man. No, that's really cool. And I think what you said about a partnership being a marriage is very true. Like, you wouldn't just jump into a relationship and get married. And a lot of people like meet someone at a 3-day real estate conference.
Totally.
Hey, let's get into business together, without really knowing them, doing any due diligence at all, just kind of off the cuff.
Yeah.
And that's why, in my opinion, most of them fail, right? You're really looking for someone that, like in a marriage, complements you, can is good at what you're not good at, will motivate you.
Yep.
You're going towards the same goals, all that kind of a thing.
And put up with you, right?
Yeah.
You know,
and
so
put up.
technically, Mike and I had a 3-year dating process.
Okay,
how
good.
about you and Sam? How long were you guys together before you started Blick
Well, we
Block?
met in college, so it was a
So
little
geez, so you
different.
dated a long time.
Yeah, he's my college sweetheart. All right, cool. So, so you have 450 agents, and you guys are growing really fast.
Yep.
So, what is it? And you're an independent brokerage, right?
Correct,
So
like
you don't
you
have
guys.
the,
Yep.
the quote unquote big brand name.
Yep.
So, what is it that people come to you for? Why are you growing so fast?
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're in the people business, right? So I think, so when we started to go to brokerage in 2014, we decided what can we do to be different? And both of us had been agents ourselves.
Yep.
Like I had to be an agent for 2 years before I got my broker license. Mike been an agent for a long, long time. And we want to be the broker we wish we had when we were agents, right? I've been at 100% shop. I'm like, okay, great, 100%, but you give me nothing. So 100% is zero, still zero. I was at a split company. I'm like, hey, I don't use that. Why am I paying for that?
Right.
So just something missing.
Yeah.
And in the people business, at the end of the day, you know, it's about understanding what the needs are. So for me, I think throughout life, I've always had this, so we all know about the golden rule, right? The golden rule is do unto others as you want to be done unto yourself.
I thought the golden rule was he who has the gold makes the rules.
That too. That's a good one too, you know? But I believe more in the platinum rule.
Yeah, okay.
Right? The platinum rule is doing to others as they want to be done into themselves.
Okay.
So we're constantly pretending we're the agent, or we have like town hall meetings every so often for our agents to tell us, hey, what you love about what you have here, what you wish you had here, and we always figure out a way to give them everything they need so that they can be successful. So what our model has then ended up being is we have what we call a partnership model, a plug-and-play partnership model. So we treat every agent as a CEO of their own company. Okay? And you come to us, you plug into our system, and we give you everything you need to grow a business, and in return we become partners. So that's kind of, because of that, our models has now, you know, taking traction, because as you know, and you and Sam are leading this space too, is that the industry is changing.
Yep.
Every industry, including real estate, right? I mean, everything's changing, and you want to be ahead of the change instead of behind the changes.
That's true. Yeah, for sure. It's interesting what you just said there about you built it because you wanted to build what you were looking for. And that's almost verbatim the conversation Sam and I had, because a lot of like the rent-a-brokers, they're like, no support, don't call us, we'll call you, just let us know when you close a deal type thing. And a lot of the other, you know, traditional shops are high split, not a lot of support, not a lot of training. It's usually very watered down. And then they also have like floor time and mandatory meetings and a lot of things that just waste your time. So we kind of looked at it the same way, like, okay, let's build a hybrid of these two things where we can pay the high splits, but still offer the support and the training and the back end and create. I love what you said about them being the CEO of their own business and just being able to plug in to the bigger network.
I agree.
Why did you choose the 100% model?
Well, at the end of the day, when I was at the other company before I had my own brokerage, right, I would say, hey, I wish I can take the money to buy more leads, to maybe hire an assistant, to get a better CRM. I'm like, but wait, after all my split, I don't have anything left to do, right? Now I'm running on a 35 to 40% split to myself every time I close a deal. The reason we do a 100% model is that, again, we treat them as partners. So we're going to give them everything they need to succeed, but we also now are a la carte. So let's say I'm going to give you 100% and I'm going to teach you what to do and how to invest back in your business. So that 100% they get, of course, we give them a lot too. So we have our model, and I think you're the same. So I think the new model for real estate is the team bridge model. It's a cross between a team and a brokerage, right? You're building a business. Could be a solo team bridge, could be a large team. And you want to run your business the way you see best fit you. So what I wanted to do, so in our model, we have a subscription base, which is a monthly fee. I think you guys do similar. So with our monthly fee includes all those benefits they have, a CRM, marketing suite, you name it. We have all of those stuff, including support. And then we charge a per file transaction per side. So when they close, there's a flat fee and the market is $4.95 and they keep 100%. So then we teach them in our training, in our coaching, all the stuff, say, hey, go back and invest more in ad spend, boosting, get this tool and technology in addition to what we have, go get an assistant. So now they might be an 15% split, but the 15 they reinvest back in the business is only for what they need, not the other agent who didn't need what they need.
So now they can tailor it to their own business, their own goals. And
So which lead to, most people think in terms of linear, I call it, either horizontal or vertical, right? You have to do this to get to this, get to this. So Mike and I think it's an ecosystem. It's like, a circle, and everything's inside. So what happened is they've done studies, and in our market in Minnesota, so California might be a little bit higher, but on every real estate transaction, Oliver, there's an $84,385 average in economic impact. What that means is that
I like where you're going here.
Real estate, right? Title, escrow in some state, mortgage, insurance,
moving
company, right? Plumber, you name it, is tied to that ecosystem. So when they come in, the end consumer experience is the most important, right? They send their client to get someone to help them paint their house. They want to send it somewhere that they're not going to come back and go, why did you send me there? I'm not going to come back and use you again. I'll never refer anyone to you again,
They
right?
screwed me over, and that.
So number one, we vet those people in the ecosystem that comes in, okay? Because the end-to-end consumer experience. So come on in because we're in a people business. So when you establish that relationship with the client you have, either be a buyer or seller, if you do it right, they're going to call you, say, hey, I'm looking to buy a car. Who should I call? I need to switch my insurance. Who should I call? They're coming to you for everything, right? So we want to have a place to provide that, the $84,000 worth of economic impact that we can take advantage of. You have to use someone else anyway. We vetted these guys. They're going to do a good job. So what we do then is we start partnering up with all of these relationships. I know you and Sam do a very good job at that as well. So when they come in, we're willing to say, as your partner, you can keep everything you earn on the real estate side. Of course, we keep a small portion of it. But in return, give us a shot at earning your business for the other stuff that we have already partnered up with. Our 100% model allow us to do that because our clients or customers, because we treat every agent as our customers and our client, right? They understand that, if you give me this, in return, I like to help you grow, so it becomes a true partnership. So
it's a real win-win.
Yeah, we have really high, penetration on all of our partnerships.
Out of those, what percentage are things that you've just created, like an affiliate relationship, versus things you've owned and that you've started yourself?
So in our space, there's this thing called RESPA, right? So there's a RESPA space that you have to do that correctly to make sure you check with your attorney, set it up correctly, so you got your mortgage, title, insurance, real estate in that space. Then outside of that, we set up a lot of rev share. Okay, so we revenue share. The reason we like that model, so the other side, you got to set up ownership, partnership. You do that correctly, the mortgage, title, insurance. So that's the normal stuff. But what people don't realize is that that's not all of it. Probably 75%.
Most of it is not that.
That's exactly it. People miss out on those opportunities. So the reason we like the rev share model is that as business owner, we also want to invest in things that has a return, right? We don't want to just. Like the MSA, marketing service agreement, used to be a big way, but people start getting sick of just giving you $1,000, $2,000 a month, and they're not getting the return they want. Well, in the rev share model, we only get paid when they get paid.
Performance-based.
That's exactly it. So success-based. So because of that, they're willing to maybe go a little bit more. So for us on those, it's usually between 10 to 20% rev share. Usually end about 15%.
And what kind of companies are you building those rev share relationships with?
Everything that ecosystem. Moving company, plumbing, photography, video, you name it. Anything to be in that $84,000 ecosystem, which you can keep going on and on and on, right?
So if someone was, let's say they're either a solo agent or they have a team and they wanted to create a relationship like this, how would they do that? What's your process?
We sit down and we discuss this as a business, right? So hey, would that, at the end of the day, our key is the end consumer. We got to take care of them first.
That's right.
Most and foremost. Just because someone willing to pay us may not work with them.
And I actually really love that you keep saying that, because I couldn't agree more that you need to find vendors that align with that and will take care of your customers. Because if they're burning your customers, you're losing customers too.
Exactly, because we're all working the same pool, right?
Right.
So that's the first and foremost. And then we sit down and we find out how could this benefit everybody involved. And I think in any partnership, Oliver, as you know, everyone has to win. Anytime one wins more than somebody else, someone will leave in the relationship.
Right.
So for us, bring an idea to us, because usually that's where it starts. An agent said, I got this awesome plumber that I love him. Like, let's sit down and talk. Okay, properly licensed, bonded, great review. Another thing that I know you and Sam experience, as Mike and I do, is when we partner up with somebody, they don't realize that you better learn how to scale.
Yeah.
Because we grow fast, right? When you plug in a system, it's going to go from 2 a week to 15 appointments a week.
Right.
So can you scale? That's probably the next big thing we look at.
Okay.
And then financially, how does it all help? Again, make sure that we're not padding that over and above what the client was going to pay in the first place. So we actually usually start with, will our client get a better deal by going through us versus go straight to you?
Right.
So usually it might be 5-10% discount.
Oh, I like that.
And then we talk about the next step. So we'll always build that way.
So that's even one more win in the equation, because now the agent's winning, you're winning, the vendor's winning, and the person buying is winning because they're also getting a discount.
Yep. The benefits may not just be discount. It could also be preferential treatment, right? Timing,
okay.
like
extra services.
That's right. I'm going to your appointment before I'm going to somebody else. So we want to make sure that they are getting the benefit by being part of this ecosystem with us.
I love that, man, and that's really good advice for because really anybody in the business could do that. It's simply just go out, build some relationships with people that you can refer, or figure out something that you're already referring out, and then create a relationship where there's a rev share and a discount to the customer, and make sure that they can fulfill and do a great job on the back end, so you look like a rock star. And then everybody wins, and you're making more money.
And you're right. So let's say you don't have enough of the volume like you guys and we do. As a solo agent or team, they can still do that in different value added, right? For Mr. Buyer Seller, by using this vendor, you can get quicker service, whatever. So they themselves don't have to be getting any financial gain either.
Exactly.
So it has to be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and it's almost like group insurance, right? Because as an agent, you're plugging into a bigger sphere of buyers. You're getting a discount based on volume.
Which is why I think
business.
Our models, yours and us, are going to start growing pretty fast in this next 5 years, because everything's changing in real estate. And I think merger and acquisition will be bigger and bigger. Like a team themselves cannot go out and get an enterprise account, right? From this kind of relationship. So they can join someone like us and benefit from it while they still run their business without giving up their identity or their goals, right? So the team rich model. So again, it could be a solo agent, could be a team. Essentially, you're going to partner with somebody to get all the big company advantages while running your business, on your own.
And doing you.
Yep, and have the autonomy.
Very cool. I love that. What are you doing to grow now?
We're starting to the point where you guys were probably a couple years ago. We're about a couple years behind you guys. So for us, our thing next is is to start figure out how to, because we're doing pretty good. I think that all entrepreneurs, as us, business owners, go through, I think, the 5-step in my mind, right? The why, what, when, who, where. Why? Why do we do certain thing? Our vision, whatever it is. And then what? The system. What do we need to do now to get that? And then the when. You get to a certain point, you max out on your time. When can I do this and when can I do that? Which lead to the who, because now you have system process, you plug in the people, right? Now, my role is this is my lane, this is the best use of my time, I need to bring in someone else to do this. And then the where would be the expansion into wherever.
Okay.
So we are now between the who and the where. I think you guys are starting to think of the where, right? You start to do your expansion. So that's where we're at right now. We're starting to look for the right people to partner up with or to plug in to start taking us to the next level. So, 5 years into 2009 when I started the company is when Mike came on board. So that was RG 2.0. Now we're 10 years marked just this last year. So we're now 3.0.
Love it.
And our 3.0 is a lot of expansion growth.
Love it. And so you'll be going into new markets and staying within Minnesota, or do you have plans to expand out of?
So our 3.0 includes dominating Minnesota, first of all, right? We have about 25,000 licensed agents in the state of Minnesota, nothing compared to where you guys are here in California, and about 15,000 active agents. So I think that when we get to about 10% of the market share, 1,500 agents, we probably have saturated the market. So this year, 2020, our goal is probably, we have 5 offices in Minnesota right now. We're probably going to end up at 7 to 10. And then 2021 is we're sitting here in Arizona. We were in Florida. I think the snowbird states for Minnesota is naturally these 2 states that we're going to start looking at expanding.
Yeah, man, it's cold in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's today's warm. I heard it's in the 30s, but I'll take 70 today all day.
Heat wave. I love what you guys are doing. You're recruiting a ton. You're growing fast. What would you say is like your top tips around recruiting and getting talented people to join your team?
So because we're in a people business, for us, it's all about the people. Right? So we're really selective. We're not looking to add just everybody. We're not right for everybody. So we want people at the end of the day to help others, and then money will come. Don't worry about the money part, right? Worry about the people. We don't go after everybody, and we're really big on bringing on people who are the real estate professionals. Because in our industry, the barrier of entry is really low, as you know. And there's a lot of people who are part-time. So we're probably not a good fit for those unless they're serious about doing real estate. They just have other jobs or businesses, right? Because we own multiple businesses. So people can, but not everybody can. So we go after people who says, hey, I want to change the industry. I want to change the way things do, and that's who we are. So they come on board with Realty Group. We're kind of like a revolution, right now of what we're doing. We're different because I think the larger national brands who've been around for a while, the traditional real estate is dying. I consider us like the speedboat, right? We can make adjustment where those guys are like the Titanic. They literally see the iceberg and they're like heading into it. And they're literally telling their people, brace for impact. We're hitting it. We can't get out of the way. And then people are jumping off, the ship and jumping on board with us, the rescue ship that's floating around and catching them.
The rescue ship.
So that's who we are seem to be attracting. So we're also getting to the point where we're now attracting versus chasing.
Right.
And I'm sure you get to that point as well.
Yeah, that's the thing about recruiting is once you get to a point where you hit critical mass, it becomes the opposite. You're turning more people away than you are bringing people on because you can be a lot more attached to getting the right fit, the culture fit, the people fit, all that. And how are you going after talent? Is it leads? Are you cold calling? What's your methodology?
So we actually, Mike and I put together a pretty proven and tested 7-step recruiting process.
Oh, I like this. Okay.
And I believe, I don't care if you're building a brokerage or a team or you're just a solo agent, you can use the same process for recruiting buyers and sellers, right? Because at the end of the day, we're in a human capital business, right?
That's right.
You're trying to get as many human capital as possible. So for us, number one is to know who you are and who you want. Same if you're a solo agent watching this, it's not just about recruiting which buyers and sellers you want to work with. Because not everybody you should work with, right?
That's a very important distinction.
That's right. And then the second one is understanding your target audience. Now that you know who you are and who you want to target that audience specifically. And then the third one is that there are different target audience you may have. Now you have to focus on each of those target audience with the right message.
The message, yeah.
Like for us, we have usually 3-4 different targeted audience. Number one is demographically. For some reason, geographically as well. For some reason, even agents don't come to an office. They still want one nearby, 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know why it is. They come in once a month. They're like, I need an office. They're like, we never see you. Now we open the office, right? So we target around that. Two is by production. So the average agent in the state of Minnesota and nationally do about 4 a year. I don't even know how people make a living doing 4 a year, right? But when you divide everybody into the head count, it's about 4 a year. So we average double to triple that. So we usually try to go about 8 or more. That's our target audience. So we do about 8 to 16 with a different target audience, with different message. 16 to about 30 or so are different, and 30 and above is different, right? So we have target audience with different messages. And the third group is the models. the KW, the Remax, the Colwell, whatever's out there, we know what they're strong at, what they're weak at. And by the way, we never go and put anybody down, but we always follow and show them what our strengths are, right?
Exactly.
This is what we have that could be best fit you.
Right.
We don't put anybody down, we just talk about us. So we go after that. So then we craft each of those messages, which is step 3. Step 4 is deploying those messages. So we use social media. We have what's called a layer stack campaign, right? Mailer, texting, email, social media. But one thing we do a lot of is videos, because we are in the people business, so visibility is credibility. So the more people see you, right? Yeah. Because people work with people they like and trust. So nowadays, we cannot go door knock 1,000 people and introduce ourselves. Hi, this is Long, this is Oliver, here's all about me, spend an hour, tell them about it.
Right.
But with social media and videos, they start seeing you. Okay, they go, oh, that's Long, that's Long.
There he is again.
Exactly. So now we attract instead of chase, and only then you lead to step 5. And most people go right to step 5. They start making a call, they cold call people, hey, let's meet. You need to sell a house, you need to buy a house, you need to switch brokerages. People are like, hey, I don't know who you are. And no, I'm not switching, right? So that's when we follow up with calls, step 5. So then we reach out to the target audience that we've been targeting and retargeting. Hey, would you like to sit down with Long or Mike to learn more about Realty Group? And we'd like to learn more about you. But at the end of the day, we're in a people business. So we just want to network, learn, and share. So we may not be a good fit for you or vice versa. So we have very good success with networking with people. And many of those have a second or third meeting.
Yeah.
Right? Hey.
That's a great, very soft approach.
Because we're dating, right?
Right.
We talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come to you and say, hey, we want to get married?
Yeah.
We just met today. You want to switch brokerage?
Right.
You come with your broker? So we dated usually 2 or 3 meetings. And I'm one of those big believers in the people business. So as much as I want to scale it out, I also need a one-on-one relationship. Face-to-face, belly-to-belly. I want to look you in the eye. I want to hear about your story. I want to know who you are. Because this seems a good fit. Okay? So that's step 5, which we go through the whole process, including you are part of it. We send out a reminder tags, all this other stuff. Okay? And then step 6 is that's when we do the follow-up. Okay, so our follow-up is, you met, this is a good fit. Yes, transfer, here's what you do. No, maybe later, we invite you to an event, to a training. Just make sure we still stay
Bring them into your web.
That's right. And then once they do join us, step 7 is then social proof. Now we go, hey, how has it been? Been 30 days, because guess what's happening? Especially on the real estate piece, including the buyer-seller, right? If you're a solo agent, the buyers just bought a home, the neighbor, their friend is like watching them. How was your agent? How did the process go?
Right.
On recruiting, it's the same. When a KW agent come to us, by the way, KW is a great model, but we seem to have very good success with them. 1 of every 3 agents with us come from a Keller Williams, okay? So anyways, when a KW agent or any agent come to us, that office is watching them. Hey, why did Oliver move? How's it going over there, man?
Yeah.
Is it as good as they say it is?
Yeah.
Okay? So we're not honeymoon period, so we want to make sure we take care of them. And when we do, we want to talk to them about it. How's your experience here, blah, blah, blah. And then we ask them for their permission if they like, so we go and target that office or that model to say, hey, Oliver's here now, he's having great fun, he's loving it. If you'd like to find out more, click here to talk to Long or Mike.
I love that.
That's a 7 step recruiting
I
process.
love that. Wow, that was a much more involved answer than I thought it was going to be, but I love it. That's brilliant. I like that it didn't end once they joined, because I think a lot of people, just like in marriages, they get married and then all of a sudden they stop pouring into the relationship.
That's right.
They stop going on dates and stop, checking in as often and just get comfortable.
Yep.
But really, it's almost more important to take care of them even more once they join, because that's when you accelerate referrals. That's when you can really leverage that relationship to the fullest.
Yes, so it's hard enough to get someone, it's even harder to keep them.
Right.
So our retention is even more in-depth than our recruiting. Now that we have them, we'll constantly reach out to them, see, can you need something from us? Or we're following up with them. We set up one-on-one if they need us. So yes, totally agree. I'm sure you guys have the same.
And how's your setup for servicing those 450 agents?
Yep. So because we're in a people business, right, and we want to make sure we service them. So we have what we call kind of 3 main area. First one, when they call a main number, they can press 2 for agent services. That's a concierge.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, who do I talk to about this? Where do I find this? Can you help me order a business card? Anything for them to be a real estate agent a professional at Realty Group. The second one is the press 3, and it's broker services. This is like your professional help.
Any transaction related.
That's right.
Contracts.
File doctor almost, right?
Yeah.
What box do I check? What form do I use? How I get my clients out of this deal? And then the third one is our processing support. Their file. Hey, can someone help me process the file? I'm not good at this. I want someone to do that for me. But how our system's unique is that when they call, text, email us in one of those, and if they don't get an answer right away, a ticket is created. So like a ticketing system. So we're going to call back the file to solve that ticket. So that's kind of the way that we work in our retention to service.
And how are you doing that? Is that like Zendesk, or what do you use for that?
We are using actually Zendesk. That is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And you've been happy with it? You like it?
Yep. We had a Ring Central before, which served good for us, but as we grew, Zendesk is working better for us.
So I put out on the Facebook group, we're both in the Real Closers Facebook group, which is free to join, by the way, if you haven't joined already. I put this out that we were going to be doing this interview, and I got a question from Freddie Rodriguez, so shout out Freddie. What's the one thing that really took your business to the next level?
Thanks, Freddie, for the question. So if anyone read some books, Rocket Fuel is this the one I'm going to be referring to.
Great
book.
The
Visionary and the Integrator,
The Integrator, yep.
So most of us start out wearing both hats, the Visionary and the Integrator. So I talk about the why, when, who, what, where thing. So what happened then is when I partnered up with Mike is when my business started growing because successful people have figured out how to leverage time. I don't care if you're a billionaire or homeless. We all have the same amount of time.
Yep.
And successful people figure out how to use time versus spend time. Right? So this is all the amount of time you have. How do you use it? Because if you don't learn how to do that, someone else is going to spend your time for you.
I love it.
So the biggest thing for me is learning how to use time. For example, when I was actively doing real estate as well, I would have a buyer usually say, hey, I want to go look at this house at 3 o'clock. And guess what most of them will do? Honey, can you go pick up the kid from school? I got to go do a showing, right? That's bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when you can change that, is understand how to use time. To go from, and I don't care which role you are, you can be the visionary, the integrator. Some of us can wear both hats. But find the other. Whoever allowed you to do what's best, or someone who's better than you at it. So for me, that was Mike. Mike is both the visionary and the integrator, but when he first came in, he served as the integrator. He really helped us, fix everything and put it all together. So, we've served both roles, but, he was better than me at that.
That's great.
So for me, it was the who part.
Yeah.
Okay, because for us, I think we go through what do you want to do, and then some of us go right to scaling. We're bringing a person to help. Nope, you first have to figure out your efficiency first.
Yes.
Like maximize the time you do have so that you can keep more, because in the beginning, we have more time than money, right? So we do pretty much more of the task. We wear 12 hats, but we put system processes in place to be very efficient. Okay, and then and only then we go, okay, these are all the roles I'm wearing. Which one am I the worst at, the weakest at, or not the best at? Or I hate doing it.
Right.
Bring in someone else who's better than me to do that.
Yeah,
and then
start there for sure.
That's right. And then so I start giving up hats until I wear the one I'm either best at or I love the most.
I really love that a lot. And great book, Rocket Fuel. If you haven't read it, definitely check that out. And I love what you said about if you're one or the other, find the other one.
Yep.
Because that's what really makes the magic happen. Is the visionary pushing the thing, making it impossible goals and keeping everybody going and motivated, and then the integrators behind the scenes pushing the buttons, making things happen, building the systems, and allowing you to scale the vision.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what I love about you and Sam. We learn a lot from you guys, right? You guys are both two, but you also know someone's got to do something.
Right.
And man, one thing great about you is, man, you're not out there always talking about how great you are. You just freaking get done, man. Excuse my French, but that's why you guys are where you're at, because you and Sam had a great partnership as well.
Appreciate the kind words. So I want to shift gears because I know you're doing you do a lot of lead gen for your team, and you're helping people grow, and you've built great systems for people to plug into. So right now, where in the lead gen, where are you finding the most success?
Yes. So Mike handled more of this part, obviously, but for us, we would rather teach our agents how to fish and give them a fish every day. There are 7 different styles of success we believe in the people business, right? It's based on your personalities. So some people believe in the DISC test, right, or the Myers-Briggs. For me, I like the 7 style. So for example, It's my 28th year now. I've cold called and I door knock before. I'm pretty good at it, but it's not my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
It's what we call the hunter style. Supposedly only about 8.3% of the population are hunters, because over thousands of years, Oliver, we've evolved, right? You want fish, meat, vegetable. You don't need to go do the hunt in 3 days anymore.
Yeah.
You show up the grocery store, nicely clean and wrap it, okay?
Right.
But we do that to hunters there. They said, show me where the deer is, I'll go shoot them.
Yep.
So those are people who be on a lead program. I prefer to cultivate relationships with my friends, family, sphere of influence. We call that the farmer style. Then you have your expert style, the investment, the first-time home buyer, the like home luxury. Then
More
you have,
niche.
That's right. You have your hyper-localist, the San Diego, Phoenix area, you know your market really well. Then you have your lifestyle one, church people, bikers, musicians, people you hang around with in your life, right? Then you have your billboard and your bus benches. I'm sure every market have those.
Yep.
And then you have your tribal one. It's your tribe, your peep. Black people, gay people, Asians, women's, veterans, whoever you identify yourself with.
Okay.
So most of us have a combination of about 2 to 4. Okay. Some people might have all 7. So when we help our agent, we focus on where their strength and weaknesses at. But for our hunters, we do have a lead program. So the way leads now is working is that most agents will come to us and say, hey, most of my business is from referral. I did so-and-so transaction last year, 20. What they don't realize is they're probably missing out the other 20.
Right.
Because it's a
lot on the
business.
table.
That's right. It's a people business, so it's a face-to-face, belly-to-belly relationship. But if you're not leveraging technology, you're missing out on an opportunity. Because someone's upstreaming your people, right?
Yep.
NAR done a study that 87% of buyers and sellers said they use the same agent, but only 12% end up doing it. Why? Because of lead generation. So where I see the leads going is we're partnering up with a lot of great company. You guys probably do too. One of them is Wide Lobo, but there's a lot of them out there. Is the dynamic marketing, the AI technology.
Yep.
Right. So it's not static anymore. You have to be, learning the behavior and changing. So what Mike and I have done really good at is, and I'm sure we picked it up somewhere with networking with all you great guys. We call it the art of nurturing a relationship. Okay, Jesse Doan, shout out to him. He thinks he came up with it. We don't know where it came. We might have
Shout
learned
out
it from
Jesse.
him. Yep. ART, art, aspiration, research, transactional. It's like a funnel, right?
Okay.
If you're on the top of the funnel, you're not as motivated until you get down to the front of the tunnel.
Yep.
So now Big Brothers, is watching AI technology. So you and I know we might meet somebody at the bar. For me, when I have a meeting with someone on my calendar, I don't care what happened. Right after, I seem to get a Facebook notice. Hey, you want to friend this person? That's AI technology, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So same thing with us. So, we might get a notification, one of our agent in our lead might say, hey, call John Smith. Why? John is checking out some DNR website for fishing. And he happened to click on the city page, look at some listing. Well, John's aspiring to moving from the city to near a lake somewhere.
Or maybe buy a vacation house at the lakes or
so
whatever.
All of a sudden you call up, this is Oliver checking in. John, see how you doing?
Yeah.
John raised his hand out of the pond, right?
Yeah.
Hey, what a coincidence, Oliver. I was thinking about moving. That's an aspiration example. A research example could be, hey, call Katie in your database. Why? Well, Katie Smith was on Facebook, share an MOS and a Zillow link with her husband, a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom. You call up Katie, hey, what a coincidence. Now you're on the MOS search, right? You're catching Katie before Katie even realized. And then a transactional. I'm in it, doing right now, looking for a home. So all of these examples is where lead generation is going. And if you're not getting on those AI technology, you're going to be behind.
And what are some of those technologies so people can...
So we got Wide Lopo, call action. We use Follow Boss for our CRM. There's many. Like I said, these are not the best one. That's just who we use.
Right.
But they're out there, and the average agent is about 57, right? So the baby boomers going up. So those guys actually have a big, database of clients. If those are not switching to technology, leveraging it, you're going to lose out to the, the millennials.
To the next gen,
who are coming in. The next gen's right in the middle, right?
Yep.
We're getting the best of both. We're the next gen. We're getting the best of. We're kind of, we get stuck in the generation gap a little bit. You get this good, this, and that. But yes, technology is definitely something you need to start leveraging. We're working together. We have something called Suite Assist.
Right.
Right? So it's just how to put everything together.
Yeah, for sure. And it's such a critical component. And it's actually one thing that I think that you and Mike are really good at. That's like one of your superpowers is staying on top of the what's hot, what's coming up, the newest softwares, the newest AI stuff that's on the market. And I got another Facebook question, which kind of goes right in line with that, which was from Billy Colstock. So shout out to Billy Colstock. What technology are you using for your database follow-up? It's basically a few different questions in one. Database follow-up, lead capture, conversation conversion, and closings.
Yeah, that's a pretty big question, Bill. It's probably take an hour to go into it, right? But instead of answering that question, I'm going to pivot a little bit. It's like the politician that just talk about whatever and may not answer the question. That's what I'm doing right now, maybe. For me, I think it's actually my phone. Okay. All this technology, you forget, if you don't follow up, make the call, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
But because all the technology keep coming, right? Sometimes you change your CRM, sometimes you switch to a bigger, better. For me, for 28 some years I've been in the business, first 15 years on the mortgage side, it's been my phone. And the cell phone get better and better. I have an iPhone, can be whatever, Android. And every contact I have in there, I think over 5,000. And every one of those contacts is a relationship, right? And I have notes. I have, your wife's name, your kid's name, because I stalk people I know. I see on Facebook, they hang out, whatever. I go in there and add my note. So first of all, I always call to check in and build relationship, but I usually cheat. That's my CRM, is my phone, my technology. So-and-so, all right, remember now, he plays soccer, he's a golfer, he like to coach his kid base. I'll ask, hey, how's the baseball season going? Stuff like that allowed you to leverage technology to still have. So a term I came up with, and I Googled it, and I haven't seen it, so I think it's mine.
So you heard it here first.
That's right. So I believe that right now in the people business, especially with all the technology, we're seeing a conversion of humanity and technology, right? And one would not replace the other. Like technology would never replace us. There's a lot of AI, there's a lot of robots thing, but there's certain thing for us in the people business, people can't replace us because of EQ. The emotional intelligent part is the thing we're always going to beat out on the technology. So because of the conversion together, they're going to come together, I call it techmanology. It's a cross between technology and humanity. Techmanology, by the way, that's human, not man or woman, so I'm not being sexist at all. So techmanology is something you need to be aware of. So don't just leverage technology so much that you think technology is going
to do everything for you.
That's exactly it. Just leverage it to allow you more opportunity for this. You and I use texting, emailing, right? IMing to set this up. But now we're here. This is the part you need to make sure you focus on.
I love that. So just expand on that a little bit. What is your process for staying in touch with those 5,000 people that you're keeping notes on? And I mean, is it like you get notifications when it's their birthdays and stuff like that, or what? What's the goal?
So because I don't produce anymore, I leverage my database differently, but I still get calls from people all the time, right? So there's minimum thing I do, and thank you to Facebook. Otherwise, I wouldn't remember everybody's birthday. It always pop up, remind me.
Does make it awfully convenient.
So that's one thing I do. So also you got to understand to know when to take it offline. Like most of the time, I don't say happy birthday to people on Facebook because I saw them. I actually then text them directly to their cell phone. I think you might have got one for me maybe in your birthday, say happy birthday, Oliver. Versus just, I'll just cheat. So then, the automatic thing you set up sometime is not good either, right? You automatically send them a birthday or happy anniversary from your CRM. What you probably should do is have your CRM remind you
to make the call.
Then make the call or do what you need to do. And for no reason at all, like not you doing it just to try to get a deal. Right? You genuinely want to build a relationship. Hey man, I saw you, with your kids, happy anniversary that day. Because what happened is on an average, people know 250 people. In the real estate business, they may not be buying and selling a home right now, but they may know somebody who's buying and selling a home. And just by you having those relationships built with them, it's a whole different, now you attract versus chase.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's good. I love how you're just kind of pleasantly persistent. You're not calling to bother them or calling for any reason. You've got your notes so that you can hit your key points. And one cool thing that I actually noticed that you had technology-wise was whatever you used to schedule this with me, because I was the one reaching out to you to set this up. Then all of a sudden, it's all, you have been alerted that we have this thing tomorrow. And then 1 hour before we started the shoot, I get another text message. Don't forget, you're shooting today with Long at 1 p.m. I was like, wow, this is great. Like, it just, So what tool is that?
Yes.
Because I think that's something I'd like to implement as well.
Absolutely. So first of all, I think all of us sometimes think we make the switch. When we start running a business or do work, we start doing the work. You should actually, everything should start with you, right? Personally. So I'm also have system process in my personal life. So if you don't do that, you can't just turn the switch on. So for me, it's all about being organized, right? So for me, it's system run business, people run system. When I say business, it's also my personal business.
Okay.
So I use schedule once, but there's Calendly, there's many things out there. So what I do is when someone wants to meet with me, I use that technology for them to get on the calendar, and then they automatically get a reminder. First of all, accept the invitation, and then an hour before you get a reminder. And if you are on my calendar to meet for an actual recruiting meeting or networking, because today is a weekend. If it wasn't a weekend, I have a team member actually will call you 45 minutes before the meeting. So an hour is an automatic, 45 minutes is the system process. Hey, just want to make sure you're still meeting with Long at 123 Main Street. And once they say yes, I'm meeting, then that's when she also sent me a confirmation. So for me, I want to make sure I don't waste your time, my time. I want to remind you, I know you're busy.
That's a great tool too, because I thought it was really cool. I was like, wow. At first I was like, does he have a VA or something that's doing this or what? But that's a cool tool. So schedule once.
Yep.
All right, cool. I'll have to check that out. Back to and staying on virtual assistants, because I think that's also something you and Mike are really killer at.
Yep.
How are you leveraging virtual assistants right now in your business?
Yep. So it's kind of a cool combination because for us, we're doubling down on space versus virtual. Right?
Okay.
Even if most agents work from home, as you know, I would say we've been tracking about 3% of agents rent from you. Either they're a big producer or a team, they need space. Otherwise, people work from home. But when they come into the office, we want to have a place for them to go to because over thousands of years, human want other human interaction. When you get out of their caves, they want to come into a place to all hang out, right? That's why you guys have a fun place too, where you play foosball. I think you might have a keg even. I don't know if it's still there or not.
Yeah, it's there.
So you like that fun, okay? For us, the way we want to do it is we want people to have the opportunity to come and hang out. With that being said, we have multiple offices like you guys do. And because of that, we have people at each offices. So essentially, they're already virtual. And with technology nowadays, we do daily huddle with the staff. I don't, but someone doing it. And they do it via Zoom. We're using technology. So we treat everybody like they're at the same office down the hall. Just that our meeting is not, handshake, it's just they can see you. Which allow us now to have the new local to be global, right? So now it can be right next door or the other side of the world. So we use some VA from the Philippines also help us. People use them for all different countries. So ours, half our staff are true virtual and the other half is state virtual. So we have 3 people at our flagship location and then 4 or 5 around other offices, and another 7 or 8 somewhere else. As we keep growing, we want to service our agent. And for us at that model, because of the favorable exchange rate in different part of the country, these people are making like 6 figures in their market, and we're able to scale and be more efficient and support our agent with that model. So for us, we leverage VA to help us grow.
And the ones that are overseas, what are the types of things that they're doing for you?
Very good question. So what we found to be the most efficient with our VAs are, especially in a different part of the world, is that their culture different, right? There's a different in there. So they don't understand certain things. Like when I used to do a lot of REOs, I remember hiring a couple of VAs, and after a while I get these questions like, hey, that house has furniture and that house don't. It doesn't have furniture. But well, not everyone do. So they don't know that furniture don't come with the house, right? Things like that. So then we went to anything is checklist or process driven. It's the best for them. They just follow the process. Okay, I do this and then this happened, do this. Whereas thing that needs like on the spot solving and being creative is tougher. So 80% of them, that's the best job. The other 20% can do that, but it's a different level. So we leverage that type of tasks to our VAs, and then our state side are handling the people part. Like you need to have people at the office because an agent pop in. How do I use the printer again? It doesn't work.
How do I get on the Wi-Fi?
That's
all
right.
that kind of stuff.
That's not a VA type, right? This is a relationship. But whereas the task-oriented, that's how we're leveraging them.
I love that. And then did you use an agency to find those, or how are you finding your VAs?
Yep, there are many ways you can go directly. We enjoy the agency because someone can help us do all this stuff.
Yeah, there's usually a manager in place.
That's right. So then it's kind of like your Indeed for VA, right? They bring you the qualified candidates.
Okay.
We interview them. We like them. If something doesn't work out, we say we don't. They replace us with another candidate. So we like that. Could we go directly? Probably, but we want to focus on what we're best at, right?
Totally.
Not dealing with that.
Totally. And what service is that, or what agency do you guys use?
So there's many different out there. So shout out to MOD. That's who we use.
MOD?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
I can't remember what they stand for anymore.
Well, Google it. MOD Virtual Assistant. I'm
So there's
sure you'll
virtual
find
desk, there's VA hubs.
Yep.
So yes, we use
And
MOD.
then I think you hit something on the head, which was they've got to be just very linear processes. I think that's what VAs are best at in terms of what they can help you with. So what are you using to manage that? Is it like a Trello board, or is it like what are you?
That's
what are you
one
using?
of them. So we do use the Trello board.
Okay.
So here's all the steps, right? You're very right. They're best at linear stuff. After this, then this. Matter of fact, we actually use that to build the system and process. We call it the and then what exercise.
Okay.
Okay. So we reverse engineer back to build this. So this is the listing process. So an agent got a listing, and then what? They fill this paperwork out, and then what? They turn it in, and then what? And then what? We built that backward, and then they follow the process the other way around.
That's perfect.
So we do use Trello quite a bit, and checklists and all of that stuff.
Anything else other than Trello?
And then just daily communication.
Okay.
Okay, because we want to make sure everyone's know what the left hand's doing with the right hand.
Yeah.
So it's like all, because as a CEO.
So not to cut you off there, you're talking to your VAs daily?
Yeah, our team run that.
And that's just a daily Zoom call?
Yep, all the time. So every morning, and then sometimes something really quick, we Zoom. We use Google Hangouts as well.
Okay.
So we're, hey, quick. So we literally, instead of going to the hall to talk to them and have them come to your office, we're just using technology.
Yeah.
So they're literally in communication all the time.
Love that. And then what about keeping them accountable? How do you make sure they're actually doing the checklist, that they're not missing steps, or that it's getting done right?
Yep, inspect what you expect, right? So we always constantly do that to make sure that they are keeping up with what they're doing, completing their tasks, doing a good job.
And what does that look like? Because obviously you're not checking every single one. Is that just spot checking one every 30th thing that they've done, or?
Yep, so we can see on Trello board,
Okay.
like what's been checked up, what's been completed, and then, we do spot check to make sure that the quality is there.
Great.
So it's just a process system we have in place.
I was going to ask, emails, do you have someone managing your emails for you?
Yep. So when I did a lot of bank-owned stuff, I was actively involved in it. So one thing that you need to do is process system, right? So I create an email that I myself have access to and my assistant.
Got it.
So then we're both seeing it, but she's handling all the tasks. I'm just seeing what's happening. So I still do now in most certain way, but for me, I've also done a really good of keeping separate emails. What I mean by that is some you just get a ton of junk mail.
Some just get bombarded.
That's right. So, so I got my personal email and kind of my task email. So one thing we do really good in our business is create departmental task email. Like agent services at, broker services
broker
at.
team at,
That's
whatever.
right, versus the person. Because you might move around,
Yep.
they might quit, they might leave. You don't need to change that. So with that being said, we can create, shadow or ghost email where we can oversee that kind of stuff. So.
Love that, yeah. And then got another Facebook question here for you. This one's from Keaton English, so shout out to Keaton. What is your onboarding process for new agents?
Yes. So Keaton, we got a 106-point checklist. So we're back to recruiting, right? So this is in terms of a broker agent or team with an agent. So when an agent say, yes, I would like to join your team or your brokerage, we then have the two things we work on. One is called a transition plan. Here's your transition, right? Because there's a lot of moving parts. If you don't have your personal email already and you're with the brokerage or the team email, we need to figure out how to do that, right? If you have a transaction pending, we gotta make sure you work with your broker.
Move that over and
move that over, whatever the right way to do in your state or your market. Help order your business card, complete the application process. So we have a 106-point checklist. So we go through the entire process. But what we do is we get it all ready for them, but we don't hit the button. Because we're in a people business, we want to help them what we call the broker breakup.
The broker breakup. I like that.
Because you never want to burn any bridges, right? And you in your market, especially like you guys, we're growing too.
Yep.
We'll constantly have a target on our back. You know, they think we're doing something not right. You know, we're always, you know, taking people from them.
Right.
We're not. We're just a better alignment.
Right.
And usually nothing personal. When people come to us, I love where I came from.
Yeah.
But you guys are just aligned for my business to grow, right? So we always encourage them. We have it already. We're going to hit button when you give us okay, but handle your broker breakup. And some will say, you know, my broker or my team leader pay me to get my license. We have these two examples. He was in my wedding, you know. I need to have a conversation with him before I make the move. Some said, hit the button, and I will call, text, email, meet them for a courtesy.
Right.
Hey, nothing personal. Thanks for the opportunity. I've moved to Realty Group to better service, you know, my business. So, so what happened with the onboard process is when they say yes, they come on board, we do the transition, and when we onboard them, they receive an email from us. It's like a SOP, standard operating procedures, like a 15-page email. We said, save this and refer back to this. This is your logins to all of our platforms. This is who you call. This is where you go find your NAID for your HUD offer, you know. And then in there, we give them a 10 days onboarding. Post-onboarding. So day one, go on social media, swap out the other company banner, put in ours, Realty Group, change your signature line. Day two, log in your CRM, update this, put your picture in. So then we put them on the drip campaign with a system process, the automated.
Yep.
Day one, they'll get a text reminder. Did you do your day one task? If not, refer back to the email.
Love it.
If you need help, call or meet with our agent services. They will walk you through it. Once those 10 days over, within the first 30 to 45 days they're with us, we encourage them to attend a 90-minute orientation. Okay, now that you've been here, what kind of question you have? By the way, here's our key ecosystem. Here's all of our businesses that we partner up with. You can use whoever you want, but if you like, we love to help you with it. And this is who you go for this. Just a reminder for you, this is our vision. This is who we are. This is why you're here. This is how we do our business. And if you have someone that think be a good fit, this is how you refer them to us.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our onboarding process.
I love it. I love two things that you just said right there. I love having a transition plan ready, and I love the broker breakup, because there's some times where they're like, I don't ever want to talk to that person again. I don't really care what happens. But then in most cases, it is a relationship, and you don't want to burn the bridge, and you want to do it amicably, and to have a plan in place and to help them do that, I think is huge.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, you know, sometimes people struggle with that, right? It's tough.
Yeah.
So I would not say we're teaching them or coaching them, but we do talk about it.
Right.
Because most of the agents come to us are very productive agents, right? And if I was their broker, I don't want them to leave.
Right.
Okay. So I let them know that, you know, it's going to be tough because just like you breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you know, in the past, we all have relationship. Guess what they're going to tell you? I promise I'll come home early. I'm going to help with the laundry. You know, I'll help cook dinner. And then 3 months later, they're back to it.
Yeah.
So guess what your broker probably going to say? I'll give you 10% more in commission. Sure, I'll get that CRM that they have that we don't have here. You know, so we get a lot of those that, God, I wish I should have moved 6 months ago when we talked. They talked me out of it. I stay. And, you know, I wish I didn't.
And now I'm back.
That's right.
So I want to talk a little bit about your past, because I think you have a really cool and interesting story about how you came here, built the business, and did all that stuff. Tell me about Rising Dragon.
So in most countries, including Vietnam, right, your name means something.
Yeah.
So, of course, I was born in Vietnam, and my mom and dad didn't plan on me being here in America. So Long actually means dragon, and Hung means rising. So Long Hung, then Doan is my family name. So Long Hung Doan means the rising dragon. When I came to America, right about in the 80s, that's when the 16 candle came out.
Okay.
Well, we all know where I'm going with this, right? Long Duck Dong. So for me, Long Hung Doan, or mispronounced, you know, has a whole different meaning than a rising dragon.
Right.
So yeah, that's what why the rising dragon. That's actually my true name in Vietnamese.
Rising Dragon.
Yep.
That might be one of the coolest names I've ever heard in my life, by the way. So that's cool. So tell me about, you're from Vietnam. How did you come over? When did you come over?
Yep.
And then how did you transition to real estate?
Yeah, so people about our age or older might remember the Vietnam War, right? And if you're younger, you might have learned about it from history. So in 1975, the American left Vietnam, and the north side, we live in the south, we were American friendly. So the communists came in, took over the southern Vietnam. So in most communist countries, including Vietnam, they have this thing called re-education camp. So anyone who can think for themselves is a threat. Okay, so musician, poet, attorneys, professors. So my dad was a professor. So by the way, my mom and dad both went to school at Florida State University. They came back with degrees.
Oh,
my
wow.
dad was a PhD. My mom had a master. So anyways, because my dad was a professor, he was invited to the re-education camp.
Invited.
So I have two younger brothers. I was 8, and my younger brothers were 4 and 2. So they came and arrested my dad, and we didn't reunite until I was 32 years old. So from the 8 to 32 before I saw my dad again. So anyway, from the age of 8 to 13 is when I actually finally left Vietnam. So when the communists came in, the way that they control the people is through economy, right? So they rationed everything. So even if you have money, you couldn't buy anything. So my mom was working 2-3 jobs. She was actually a teacher, so she taught at university and school. I was the oldest, and and back then my dad was the oldest too. So we lived with our grandparents because he took care of his parents. So every day after school, I remember I would go line up for 2-3 hours every day to get our rations. So every Monday I get a ration of rice for the entire family. Every Tuesday might have been spices. Every Wednesday might have been some protein. Thursday, detergent.
Wow.
We did that for years, right? So man, I remember, when we did have protein, it was like a little piece of, meat that was heavily salted, so you can eat 3 bowls of rice with it, It was pretty tough. So anyways, back then a lot of people left Vietnam, and we're a coastal country, so many people left by foot through the jungle to Thailand, which is north of us. But 80% of it by boat. So 2 million people left Vietnam during that time. And I was one of those boat people. So we actually tried 3 times. The first time it was my mom and my 2 younger brothers and us, so all 4 of us. And this is like putting all your eggs in one basket because the survival rate was less than 50%. Wow. I'm a coin flip. Okay, I'm here today because I landed on the right side. Okay. So anyways, the first try, we were all there. My dad was in prison, obviously, so he would never say yes to it. My mom made an executive decision, say, let's give it a better life. So we waited to be picked up to get on the boat to try to leave. And she chickened out, right? Hey, man, we could all die. So she's like, hey, I'm not feeling this thing. So she used my younger brother Hugh as an excuse. He's not feeling well, we're not doing this. So we found out later that group made it, right? We could have all made it. No, maybe we weren't meant to be.
Yeah.
The second time, because it cost money, so she pretty much spent all the money on her family, and we didn't do it. The second time, her brother was a mechanic, my uncle. So she, as an entrepreneur herself, worked a deal out where he can be the mechanic for the ship, the boat, and I get a free spot. So during that time, I was about 12. We were, this is the early 80s, and the Vietnamese people at war with the Chinese. So if you get caught and you're 16 or older as a male, you're pretty much sent to the front line until you're shot to death, right? That's a death sentence. So we already know that if we get caught, my uncle's gonna bail, okay? And I'm only 12, so figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's pretty corrupt in most third world countries. So the process for the boat people to leave is pretty crazy. So you buy a spot on the boat, it's a human smuggling. And there's river fishing boats that they build secret compartment underneath. So there's this river through a lot of Asia country called the Mekong River. So you fish down the river until you get out to international water, okay? That's the escape plan. So you go through all these checkpoints, and then you would bribe the Coast Guard to let you go by because they can tell the boat's sinking a little bit more, right? There's a bunch of other people underneath.
Right.
So I was one of those underneath, and we paid the money, and they took the money, they turned us in. So we got caught the second try. So my uncle bailed. He told me later he just jumped on and he got away. So I got caught. And I remember there was about 80 of us in this group. And I remember this is the summer. It's very hot and humid in the summer in Vietnam. And go to like Florida, Oklahoma, Tennessee down there and multiply by 2 in the summer, the humidity, the heat. So I remember they made us sit outside, no food, no water for 2 days. and they just tease us. And I was only 12 at the time, so pretty scary. Hey, don't worry, the Americans on their way to pick you guys up. You know, I mean, they literally just, you know, they tormented us. But I eventually did get to go home because I was only 12. So the third try was the time I made it. Third time was the charm, I guess. I knew I was leaving at some point, but they don't tell me because I was 13 by now. So they know I'll tell my friends, right, my cousins, so somebody's going to find out about it. So my mom been working on this deal I didn't know about. So I do remember it was like a school night, and my two brothers got to go to my cousin for a sleepover. And I should have thought that was a red flag, right? Because you don't get to go hang out and have fun on school nights in Vietnam, okay? And then my grandma made me my favorite meal, which is barbecue pork. And I remember, like, hey, eat as much as you can. I'm not fighting my brothers for it. I'm getting plenty of food, you know. I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I wasn't thinking.
I like this.
Right?
Yeah.
And then at nighttime, my mom and my grandma came into bed with me, and they talked to me about, they say they love me and all this stuff. And in the Asian culture, we don't show a lot of affection like that. So I should have thought of something. Just $13, I didn't think of anything, right? And then I remember about 3 o'clock, my mom woke me up and said, hey, it's time to go. And, you know, that was go time. I knew then, okay, it's time to go. So, you know, she took me by bicycle, I remember, out of the city, because we live in Saigon. So all the Vietnam movies you see is like rice paddy. I never even seen one, you know, because I live in the city. So she took me by bicycle out about an hour, I remember, and we met a strange man I've never met before. So that was our contact. So my mom, you know, before I left, my grandma said, I love you, be brave. So my mom said, hey, okay, you know, be brave, we love you, you can do this. Well, remember at the time I was 13.
Yeah.
I've tried it twice. I'm thinking, okay, Mom, I'll see you in a couple of days, right? It's not hitting me yet. So this other guy has a moped, you know, so we ride out about an hour outside the city again. We now met up with a smaller group. So I was the last one to show up, and there were already 8 people there. I was number 9. So at this checkpoint we met up, we now have to go to where the dinghy is. So that's when I experienced the rice paddy. We were walking through the rice paddy at the dinghy, you know, 10, 15 minutes. It felt like a long time for me. And, you know, for an Asian guy, I'm pretty tall now.
And you're by yourself with no family at 13 years old.
Correct. Okay, my mom bought me a spot. However she did, I think she might have gotten a few people on the boat. She earned a commission or something that she traded in. So I remember, like, I was really small back then. I remember the mud was up to my chest. I'm thinking, man, you know, I step off, I'll be, you know, I would be, suffocating. So anyways, we made it through a dinghy. They took us to the big boat, which is not even that big. Okay, you probably can't see this patio right here, but it's about 2.5 size of a normal bedroom. So we're the last group to come down to the boat, coming down, and I see just packed with people. But I remember the last time too. This time the boat was a little bigger. So we got down there, and I didn't know about the time of it until later when someone told me. But we were down there fishing down the Mekong River, and it felt like a much longer, but it was only 3 days. So now imagine you go to a concert, camping outdoor, you go to one of those satellites, you go to the bathroom, it has been cleaned in a long time, no air circulation, being in the dark, and I found out later it was 3 days. It felt much longer. People thrown up, going to the bathroom, you know, just
right there.
And you sitting literally shoulder to shoulder like sardines, okay? So every time we go through a checkpoint, we will hear one of these knock, knock, boom, boom on the top. So we know that everyone be really quiet, including the family with little kids. They've been reminded that, you know, if someone make a noise, you muzzle them. Whatever you got to do, man, we're not getting caught.
Right.
Especially, there were a lot of men on this boat, and that's death sentence for them, okay? So this time, we got lucky enough that we got through all the checkpoints. Okay?
Right.
So felt like an eternity for me, but I guess it was only 3 days.
Only, I mean,
That's
come
right.
on. Yeah.
We got out to international water. This is the furthest I've gotten.
Okay.
Last time we never got on the boat.
Right.
Second time we got caught. So we got out international water, and this is where you see in books and movies, like hundreds of people on the boat. Now we all come on top.
Everyone can come out now.
Yeah. So I remember I was pretty polite. I was taught to be at the time. I was helping everybody come on the top. I was one of the last few that come up. And I remember coming up, and I felt like I went from hell to heaven. You know that fresh air we take for granted? I was like, oh my God, man, this smells so good. You know, I can actually breathe, you know? Wow. And I'm excited, ready to jump up and down, a 13-year-old boy. And all of a sudden I look around, and everyone looks actually scared. All of a sudden it hit me. This is the stories we've been hearing. This is the point of no return. If you get caught, at least you get to go home. You're out here, you're either gonna die or you make it. So here's the escape plan for the boat people back then. If you get out this far, you float until someone picks you up. And the big ocean. So what happened back then is the Red Cross
crazy.
had created refugee camps all over the nearby countries. Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia.
To accept the people
That's
coming
correct.
in. Uh-huh.
So refugee camps, right? This is the 80s when the economy was also bad back then. Now, our money is worth not even the paper is printed on. So when people leave, they convert them to jewelries. They would take like gold chain, watch, whatever, to take it with them, right? So a lot of surrounding countrymen, also pretty bad for them with the economy, but they also know this. So they turn pirates. Okay, so a river fishing boat.
Great.
In the river. You get out the ocean, you don't have the speed, you can't maneuver, you're small, you're pretty much defenseless. So this ocean fishing boat would come find us, take all the jewelry, rape the women, and sink the boat. And that was mercy killing, because they take all your gas, your food, whatever, right? They're pirates.
Wow.
So that was like, so you don't die slowly. So lucky for us, we never ran across a pirate boat. But at 13, I did get to see floating bodies. So it must have been a nearby boat that was sunken at some point. It was pretty scary for a 13-year-old,
Totally.
right? I was by myself. I don't know anybody in the boat. We had about a day left of food, water, and gas. And we got lucky. Our plan worked. We ran across a commercial ship. So your goal is to run to a good guy ship and not a bad guy. We ran across a good guy. So they're just passing by, and they probably know during that time. So they hooked us up. And this is where, just picture like this big cruise ship. Okay?
Like an oil tanker or something,
right?
yeah,
One
yeah.
of those big ones.
Right.
And with this little tiny river fishing boat. Okay, so we dock up. I remember everyone get all excited because we know that this means it's good,
This
right?
is looking good, yeah.
So I remember at 13, I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what's next. I'm thinking, oh man, we got to get on the ship, we get food, take a shower, all this stuff, right? This is now, by the way, we've been floating for about 7 days. So we're on day 10 now. So they didn't let us up on the boat because probably, you might have disease or something,
Right, they don't know what you guys are
that's
either, right, yeah.
So they throw down some food, water, and then they call into the nearest refugee camp. So for us, it was Malaysia. So I remember they put food down, and I was really little then. So probably looked bigger than it normally is. It's just probably a normal apple. But I remember this big, juicy red apple I got to eat, right? I'm like, oh my God, I can get to America, get all this awesome food. And I've been hungry because we literally have enough rice and water just to survive, right? We're not eating a normal ration either. So we waited, and about a day before they come out, they pull us in to the refugee camp. So now we're the 11th day. So the process is they onboard you. So you check in, they give you a shot, and then that's when you declare what country you want to go to. So for me, we already planned this. If I made it this far, America. My aunt and uncle, who live in Minnesota, that's how I ended up there.
Got it.
So I declare, okay, and I actually ended up staying there for 8 months because I'm an orphan. Most people are there 4 to 6 years. Because number one, they're not an orphan. Number two, they may not have family that sponsor them, so you have to wait for a nonprofit or church to sponsor them, right?
Wow.
So it took longer. So anyways, this is the part I tell a lot that I believe that mindset is extremely important. And I didn't realize I discovered that mindset is everything at that point. I didn't know then, but later on I knew. So I remember first of all, I get to send a telegram now to my mom. You have kids, I have kids. I send my kids to sleep over
That
next
was
door,
probably
right?
the happiest day of her life.
I'm calling, texting them, make sure they're okay.
Right.
Imagine you don't know where your kid is for 11 days, and
Yeah.
you know it's a flip of a coin.
Right.
He might already die. It's been 11 days. He didn't make it, right? So she told me later, obviously, she was very happy. She got that. So I remember I got to do that. And I remember that night, after all of this excitement or whatever, I found a spot on the beach. Now, by the way, it's in Wikipedia page that the refugee camp I was at, the name of it is Bidong. B as in boy, I, D as in David, O, N as in Nancy, G, okay, Bidong. It's nicknamed Hell Island. It was considered to be, at the time, the most heavily populated place on earth.
Wow.
I was one of 40,000 people on the size of a football field. Imagine sleeping on dirt floor. Okay, have plastic bag pretty much over you. And I was there for
So
8
heavy.
months. And there's people there 4 to 6 to 7 years. Okay? So anyway, that was camp life later. But anyways, the first night, I remember finding a spot on the beach. It's very crowded, but everyone kind of go to bed now. And I found a spot on the beach that was kind of secluded. And I remember it finally hit me. Okay, I've told this part of it thousands of times. I remember just crying. I remember crying all night. Because besides getting hurt as a kid, I've never like emotionally cried.
Yeah, no, that's so
I remember
heavy.
it finally hit me. And I'm thinking, crap, am I lucky or am I unlucky? Okay, am I lucky that I made it, or am I unlucky that everyone I knew, my friends, my family's on the other side of the
They're
ocean,
all back there, yeah.
and I'm probably never going to see them again. Okay, and I know that my job is to figure out for myself at 13 years old and go help the rest of my family. That's a lot of pressure on a 13-year-old boy, right? So I remember crying, just crying all night, just thinking in my head that internal, struggle that am I lucky or am I unlucky? And I remember the sun was just coming up. And I had to make a decision. Okay, I want people to come and see who this kid, right? So I remember saying to myself, put your big boy pants on and go figure it out.
Wow.
So at that point, Oliver, I remember making a choice that I'm a victor and not a victim. I decided
Powerful.
I was lucky instead of unlucky. Right? I could have done the unlucky victim thing the rest of my life. I was 13, I was a boy, I had nothing.
Right.
What am I supposed to do, right? I'm like, no, I am lucky to be in this position. Go take advantage of it and help everybody. Because of that, the way I am now, you know me, I love to meet people, love to share. So I'm very passionate about helping people and paying it forward because I'm a 50-50 coin flip. I should not even be alive today. Because of that, any chance I get, I want to help people because I never want anyone to have the same feeling I had that night. Helpless. I don't even know what I'm going to do for myself, let alone taking care of my family.
Yeah.
Right? So anytime I have the chance to help people, I do. So that was the moment that I think kind of shaped my life until today.
That's unbelievable.
So yeah,
unbelievable.
so that, and then camp life was a whole different other story.
Yeah. So how'd you get out? How did you eventually make it out and get to Minnesota with
So the
no money,
paperwork.
no family,
That's
no
right.
papers?
So all the paperwork had been done, right, to sponsor me.
Okay.
And just about every morning, sometime there was not, which is a big disappointment, but just about every morning, the camp intercom system come on. And it's like, you're winning a lottery. They're calling out the names of people who get to leave.
Oh, wow.
I don't care if you're going to America, Australia, England, wherever you go in Germany, France, right? Those are some of the big countries that people are going to. So I remember we're all like, ding, 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 everyone's like, oh man, I hope it's
Who's
me
going
today? I hope
today?
it's me
Yeah.
today, right? I remember my name was called. And this is 8 months. So I know you're like me. We're pretty lucky where we're at right now, right? We have a great life now. So sometimes successful people like us also struggle with that guilt feeling like we know we have better than some of the people. Even though we work well, right? We still feel it. I remember having that feeling. I remember telling the one adult we kind of look up to, like our mentor that kind of help all orphans there. Because I had a friend who was in the group that's been there 5 years.
Oh my God.
Still there, right? I remember telling him, can I give my spot to that person?
Yeah.
I remember he's kind of like hit me across the face like, shut up, you don't say that, you don't want anyone to hear that. You take your chance and you get out of here. That was pretty tough for him.
That's heavy.
So that's how I got, and I remember that person gave me kind of a little bag because I came to the camp with just a pair of shorts and a shirt. Literally nothing but the shirt on my back, right?
Yeah.
Remember he gave me a nice pair of jeans and a shirt, said go to America, good luck. And I remember leaving and all my friends would say goodbye to me, and it was a pretty bittersweet day.
Crazy.
But then I got to America, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Wow. What a story. I mean, that's to come from that and to go through that at such a young age is just profound.
I think what I learned from that whole experience is, first of all, Confucius have talked about this, right? We always want to learn to grow. Because for me, my biggest thing is never to grow more than somebody, but I just want to be a better version of myself from yesterday, right? Every day I want to grow. So I have a thing I do every day, okay? It's at the end of every night, I'm going to think about the day. Did I learn something today? If I didn't, I have a book next to me, I would read 15 minutes because I want to learn something, right? So one thing Confucius says is that there's 3 ways we learn. Sometimes all 3, I do all 3, but there's 3 ways we learn. One is imitation. That's the easiest form of learning. Right? We call it R&D, right? Used to
Right.
be research and development, now
Yeah.
rip off and deploy, right?
Exactly.
We do that a lot with each other.
Yeah,
Hey, that
of
worked for you,
course.
man. I'm going to imitate
Of
you, right?
course.
The second form of learning is called experience. Okay, that's the toughest. You have to go through it and do it. I've learned my life through a lot with experience in my past.
Right.
What it has created for me is that I don't want to ever wish that on anybody else, because that's not what I want. But it allowed me to have this called a reference point. We all have a different reference point, and mine is so low that there's can't go any but better, right?
Right.
So because of that, I think many entrepreneurs have that, is that we seem to take more risk because we're not afraid to fail. And if we do, our experience tells us that you can go back and do it
We'll
again.
bounce back, yeah.
Right? So that's my experience. But the third one that I'm trying to talk about at the end of the night, that I try to do every night, is by reflection. Reflection is considered the most noble. So I reflect on my day every day. Have I imitated something? Have I learned something by experience? If I have, well, how does it affect me and others around me? So, all this experience have allowed me, to really be where I'm at, because all the thing that I've been learning and continue to learn.
It's really amazing. Michelle's crying. She needs a tissue. I don't even know where to go from here. That was just like, wow.
Yeah.
So you get to the States. You start. What's your first job? What?
Yep. So I got here and I left when I was in 8th grade. I got to America. I went to 9th grade. Okay. So I came and lived with my aunt and uncle in Minnesota. Of course, that's where they live. Otherwise, I went from 60 degree in Vietnam being,
Right.
parka jacket to minus 60,
Right.
But anyways, my aunt and uncle actually live in a student housing at the time. He's finishing school at the University of Minnesota. So he took us in. My aunt and uncle, kind of like my mom and dad then,
Right,
took me in. They had 2 kids, so my cousins, so we lived with them. So my first job there was a paper route, okay, and mowing the lawn.
Okay.
Because it's a student housing.
Yep.
So that's where my entrepreneur, I think, got started. So I remember all my friends having fun, same age. I was, 13, 14 at the time. And I got the paper job, and I'm like, I got a paper job, and I got a lawn mowing job, and I got school. Well, how can I manage all this? So I remember telling my friends, hey, you want to help me with the paper job? I was getting like $15 to do the paper. And I would contract it out. I have 2 friends that would do it for me for $3 each. They would take half of the student housing, and I paid out $6 and I was getting 15.
That's a good hustle right there.
And then I would spot check. I would go to the building, make sure they got dropped off every now and then, right? So that was one I was able to scale, right?
Yep.
That was how I learned. And then I had my lawn mowing job. So this is a pretty big complex. It's like 300 some units, right? So I remember, how can I keep this job and keep growing it? So I'm like, wait, what's the best use of my time? So I want to do only the riding lawnmower. That's the fun part, right? I contract with the weed whipping and the hand mowing part, that place you can't get the lawnmower in.
Yep.
So I contract that out to my friends. And then I contract out to my friends to set up sprinkler all over the complex to grow the grass faster. So we had the greenest
That's
grass
funny.
and the best looking grass my whole time I was there. So that was my first 2 jobs. My third one was, you're about my age, so breakdancing was back then. Remember breakdancing,
Yep.
MC Hammer, the whole thing?
Yep.
So I remember the same thing. I'm like, I want to learn how to break dance to, impress the girls. But I also want to know how I can help my friends do it. So I found a guy who break dance and I contract with him so I would get more people to come and learn from him and we split the money. So he keep half to teach and I keep half to bring the people. So I was really
So
a
you've
broker
always been an entrepreneur then.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that's my
wow.
first 3 jobs when I first started.
That's great, man. And so I'm curious about you. Obviously have an accent, obviously way less now than back then, but has that ever been a challenge for you?
Very good point. So my mom and dad were professors, right? They spoke English. But for me, when I learned English in Vietnam, just like us here learn Spanish.
Right.
Hi, hello, pencil, right?
Yeah.
Where's the bathroom?
Where's the bathroom?
Not conversation.
Yeah.
So when I came over, I was in the called ESL program. English is a second language. So I remember I carried this dictionary everywhere. And every time my friends would say something, I would say something back, I would look up the words. And by the way, when you look up the words individually put together, they do not make sense. Okay? Nowadays, I'm still like, that doesn't make sense, what it's saying. But I think me being younger, the younger people assimilate easier. We're out there with friends, we're talking. Whereas the older generation, retain the accent longer because they only go to work, they come home. They're not out there mingling and doing all the
They're
stuff.
They're speaking Vietnamese at home and all that.
Exactly, right? So that's why I think I didn't have that. But yeah, I do remember the biggest struggle for me was the culture shock, right? And I came in the 80s. So in Vietnam, the only thing I knew was Elvis, the Beatles, and Clint Eastwood.
Yeah,
that was for us. That was the big thing, right? We came over here. Man, my biggest shock was MTV. I remember there's so much stuff going on. There's so many stations. There's so much music. There's video. There's movies. There's sport. Man, it was overwhelming.
Yeah. Wow. So just the bright lights, big city life of U.S. life.
Yep. So I went to school and so for me, 2 years later, my younger brother actually made the same trek.
Oh yeah, glad you brought that up. I was going to ask you that. What about the rest of the family?
Yeah, so my second brother did the same thing. My mom get him on a boat again. 2 years later, he made it too, but he ended up in Indonesia. So he had his own story. There was snake infested, all this other stuff. Like for me, in Malaysia, one of the first couple nights was hard for me to fall asleep. First of all, I miss my parents now, right? Everybody I know. I'm sleeping on a dirt floor. And I remember there were rats crawling on me the size of puppies.
Oh my God.
Because this is very dirty, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty scared then. My brother's story was no rats because the snake ate all the rats. So I wish we had snakes at our camp, right? Would have ate all the rats. But anyways, he made the same trip, made over. He lived with my aunt, uncle, and myself as well. So when I was 18, I went out to go to University of Minnesota. I worked 3 jobs. He was 8th grade at the time. We lived together, and I raised him, put him through high school, put myself through college.
Man.
So then later on, I sponsored my mom and my youngest brother. So they eventually took them about 7 years for the paperwork to go through. I had to prove now I'm a U.S. citizen. I have a job. I can sponsor them and support them.
Yep.
So 7 years they come over.
7 years.
In the meantime, my dad now has gotten up to, because he writes articles about human rights and democracy. It gets published all around the world. So my dad now is considered pretty much the Nelson Mandela of Vietnam, right? There's many people like him, but he's one of those. So when I got out, by the way, John McCain adopted him as like the prisoner of conscience.
Wow.
And back then, the U.S. actually have an economic embargo on Vietnam. So every time the U.S. government talked to the Vietnamese government, my dad's name was come up. That's the only reason they didn't kill him off. Okay, otherwise he'd be dead. So when I came over, people realized I was the firstborn of my dad. I became the poster child. So they had me go all around the country to speak about human rights, democracy, and my dad. I accepted half a dozen of awards on his behalf. I met the Kennedy. They presented him with the Human Rights Award from the Kennedy. I met Ted Turner, Tom Brokaw. Accepted the Journalist Award. So I was giving speeches in front of congressmen, senators, big group at age of 16, 17, 18. I had to write my own speech. It was pretty scary for me, So I did a lot of that until my mom and dad come over. So that's when, eventually they agreed to let my dad go. But because he became such a big name, they wouldn't let him stay in Vietnam. So the only way he could leave is be exiled. So that's how he came to America, and that was 20-some years ago.
It's crazy.
That they lived with us in Minnesota for a while, then my mom and dad moved to Washington, D.C. My mom just retired after 20-plus years with the State Department, working there. Now...
I mean, you're living proof that anything is possible, because if you can come from that, being a scared, dirty 13-year-old kid at the bottom of a fishing boat, leaving Vietnam during war times and coming here and doing what you've done and building what you've built, it's absolutely unbelievable. It's extraordinary.
Well, I'm a testament. That's why I share my story all the time to tell people that, because I've discovered that's all about the mindset.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because our belief systems dictate what we do, say, think, right?
Yep.
So if you can change in here, you can change anything. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that's why I love sharing my story, just to let people know, man, whatever you're through right now, struggle, I think that if people realize, I kind of learned 3 things, right? I would say that I'm one of those that barely come up with something on my own. I'm a reflection guy. I imitate, and by experience, I put it all together, okay? So I'm sure whatever I'm saying here, people will find in books and stuff, say, hey, Millie Long, you're just, play drying. Probably. I'm admitting to that. But the 3 things I have learned from successful people, I believe, is number 1, that on the beach that night, and now I tell people all the time, is start taking responsibility. Stop lying to yourself.
You're in control of your own destiny.
You're in control of it's not somebody else.
Yep.
It's not because of your situation.
And no one's going to do it for you.
That's exactly it. Take responsibility. Stop lying to yourself. The second thing is take actions. So many people dream up this great goal, dream. They don't do anything about it. Okay, take action. Just go freaking do it. You might do it wrong. Who cares? Learn from it, right? You don't win or lose. You win or learn. Every time you don't win, you're learning how to win. And the third step, I believe, is just figure it out.
That's right.
Instead of can't, it's how.
Right.
Okay, I want to own a 25-unit investment property apartment. I can't do that. I don't have any money.
Right.
How can I own that? So I think those are the three things I've learned that I share with everybody. It's all up here. When you start there,
those are great.
You can do anything.
Those are great, man. I love your story. It's really, really unbelievable. Like, what a testament to really anything being possible. And how great we have it here in America. Like you take it for granted a lot, but when you hear stories like that, it's like, wow, it's really something.
Yeah.
So looking back over your 25 plus year business career, what would you say is one thing that you just wish you knew earlier, looking back?
Yep. As much as I took the chances, I wish I would even take more chances.
Okay.
Right?
Tell me about that.
Yep. So do something sooner. Okay. Back when I was doing mortgages, my first 15 years on the mortgage side, knowing what I know, I should have owned investment property back then instead of now.
Right.
Okay. So I say, take chances sooner. And then the other thing that I wish I do more is I surround myself with, more people that I can learn from.
Definitely.
Okay. Because, we're the average of the 5 people we hang around with, right?
Yeah.
So, I wish I would have done that because one thing is the guilt thing again, right? The time my name came up to leave a refugee camp, all this other thing. So all of us are always growing. Successful people, again, internal growth we talk about, right? Personal growth. You always want to be a better version of yourself, not better than somebody else.
Definitely.
Because anytime you compare yourself to somebody, you're going to be disappointed. Because there's always somebody better than you and somebody worse than you. That is the definition of average.
Right.
The best of the worst and the worst of the best. Okay? So you're never going to be happy. It's all about you. So the guilt thing I have sometimes is that as I grow, my friends and my family sometimes don't grow at the same pace.
Right.
So I feel guilty leaving them. So I wish I would have either helped them grow with me or start surrounding myself with other people who are also in the same growth mindset.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I wish I would have done earlier.
So important. And I've had a chance to ask this question to a lot of successful people now, and I think that the most common, and I'm sure you would agree, Michelle, is the most common answer is I wish I would have gone bigger sooner. I wish I would have done more sooner. I wish I would have taken action on that one thing sooner. So when you're listening out there, go out, take action now, don't wait, and things will happen because everyone seems to say that same thing, and it's interesting. Yep. What about speaking of investing? What are you investing in these days?
Well, because we're in the real estate, I think the real estate space is makes sense.
Yes.
But it's good to always diversify. You got technology, you got real estate, you got the market really good, obviously. But I think the most important part is invest in yourself. Okay, so that's probably my biggest investment.
Okay.
Is closing table.
Yep.
Is here. Awesome. Shout out to you guys. I've attended several those events. I will not make it to the actual event this time because I promised my wife I'm here on vacation. Because
you'll be busy vacationing.
So go to an event like this to learn. Surround myself with people like you guys. Partner up with people to do stuff.
Yeah.
So the best investment in myself, number one. Number two, to invest in the people around you. Okay, because we're a business owner, right?
Yep.
So we're gonna invest in the people so that, remember I talked about I'm growing, I want them to grow with me.
I love that.
So I want to invest in them because I think it was Richard who said this, that train people so they leave you, but treat them right so they stay.
So they stay, yep.
So that's the biggest thing is that we want our people to be so good that they get the calls all the time. They show us text, email. So-and-so's calling me to come work for them because of all the stuff I'm learning here.
Yep.
But I'm not leaving. Because you invest in me and you show you care.
Love that. That's great advice. And I really think it's so important about investing in yourself because that's something that I think a lot of people overlook. And even if you can't afford to go, I mean, we're right now, and I'm sure you're the same, we probably spend $50,000-$60,000 a year going to more events, going to high-level masterminds, surrounding ourselves with great high thinkers, and expanding our network and connections on all of that. And I think even if you can't afford to do that, at the very least, go to some boot camps, because if you can just pick up one relationship, it can change everything. If you just pick up that one strategy that moves the needle in a big way, it changes everything. And by investing in yourself and going to those things, it can make all the difference. I mean, it sounds like you and Mike even met at an event.
Nope, local event maybe, but it wasn't.
Okay,
yes.
But
But
either way, my point is, you can find a business partner, you can find strategies and all that. So I love that. So this is a question I usually like to end with, and it's just more of an actionable, like, what in your day-to-day life, personal, business, whatever, what are your favorite tools, apps, softwares that just make your life easier, help you grow, help you manage things, whatever it is?
Yep, so I talk about, again, successful people figure how to leverage time, right?
Yes.
Besides people, system, process, and technology. For me, the one thing I do all the time is my calendar.
Okay,
because I only use the time I have on my calendar for my work, and then I have my time for my family, right?
Okay.
So if you didn't get on my calendar, it's not happening. So, we've heard the prioritizing of the big rock, small rock, right? Mm-hmm. For me, it's a time slot. So everything that
no got-a-minute meetings.
That's right, exactly, right?
Okay.
So if it's on my calendar, it's happening. If it's not, I'm finding a different time or it's not happening. So for me, that's how I do it. So staying very organized in one of his calendars. So speaking of organized, again, I think most successful people somewhat have OCDs, right? We're like the perfectionists. So you have to have system process in your personal life so that it translates to your business life, because it should be natural. It's not like you hit a switch.
Right.
Now I'm at work, I have to put in this mindset. So for me, I'm that way. Like even in my personal life, I have a way I organize my dishwasher, okay? My wife just shake her head and walk away. I'm like, hey, I can get 20% more efficient with the dishes, and they clean better than how I face them, right? In my closet, I organize my clothes by long sleeve, short sleeve, Even when I dry clean my clothes, I come back, I rotate them. My dishes, when I put away, I put the clean one on the bottom, the one on the top, because I want to rotate them, so I'm not using the same dishes all the time. So I think that translate to how I manage everything, including my time. So the biggest tool I use is my calendar and how to leverage my time. Like schedule once is part of my calendar tool.
Yep. And then how are you, you mentioned business and personal life, and it sounds like you're very structured. So I'm just curious, like, what's your workday calendar versus your personal time calendar every day?
Yep. So we're fortunate enough to get to the point now where we can do this, right? So for me, again, I'm learning how to use time. So my goal, doesn't always happen, but a lot of time, is I work Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4. So on my calendar, that's where everything goes in.
Okay.
And then Friday, 8 to noon. Friday for me to catch up meetings, something I couldn't do. And then from after 4 is my family time. Okay, because I'm not actively anymore, so I don't have as many showings or listings.
Okay.
Every now and then I might take 1 or 2, so I might adjust. But that's my goal.
Yeah.
I also prioritize my time on my calendar. If I have a phone and I'll share you, it's color-coded. So blue for me is work stuff. Red is personal.
Okay.
So my family, red. If I have a red on there, I'm never changing it. Okay. If it's 3 o'clock, my daughter's 16 now. She's my youngest. She just got a license, so I lost my Uber Dad job. My boys are 19 and 23.
My Uber Dad.
Right? I used to have her on 3 o'clock to go pick up from school, right?
Yeah.
So at 3 o'clock, and I drop off in the morning. If people call and say, I want to meet at 3, I need to call at 3, I'm busy, I can't at 3. Versus some people would say, hey, can someone go pick her up or drop her off so I can do this? So that's,
because you prioritize that as being important.
I don't sacrifice those.
Yeah.
So I think that's what people need to learn, is that in your personal and business, because when a people business, it's hard to find that balance piece. Because we're constantly working, but yet we're not always working.
Right.
You know that weird space we're in?
Yeah. Or sometimes it doesn't feel like work, like you're at a networking event, or you're at a closing table conference or whatever, right? Then you're working, but you're not actually working. So I feel you on that. Man, I really got to say, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Long. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing story. If you guys like the show, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below and we'll get back to those. I'm sure Long is willing to circle back around and answer any other questions. And also, if you're on Facebook, Real Closers, the Facebook group, it's free to join. You can ask questions. We make these interviews pretty interactive, and hope you liked it. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.